Ever feel like your React Native app animations, like they're moving in slow motion, like you're stuck watching one of those old flip books instead of a high-budget action movie?
Yeah, I've been there.
It's rough. But that's where React Native Reanimated comes in, like swooping in to save the day. This deep dive, we're going to break down Reanimated using this excerpt you sent as our guide.
Sounds good.
So our mission, basically, is to figure out what makes this library such a powerhouse for animations and, how it can take your apps from to mind-blowingly smooth.
Yeah.
Because we all know user experience is everything in the app world. And clunky animations, those are the worst. They're like the pop-up ads of the app world, right? Just make users want to run away screaming.
Totally. What's really cool about Reanimated, though, is how it closes that gap between React Native and that really native-like performance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, before Reanimated, getting those super smooth animations, like 65p's, maybe even 120p's in React Native, that felt impossible. Or, if you did get it to work, it was so complex, and usually the result was janky and laggy.
Okay, so we're talking about a level of performance that before was basically unheard of in React Native. So how does Reanimated do it? The excerpt mentions it being declarative. What does that even mean, really?
Let's see. So imagine you go to a chef and you say, I want a perfect steak, medium rare.
Right.
That's it. You don't tell them how to do it, right?
Right.
That's declarative. Now, imagine you give them a 20-step recipe with all these exact temperatures and timings.
Oh, I see the difference. Micromanaging versus just saying the desired result.
Exactly. With Reanimated, it's like you're telling it what you want the animation to look like. That end state, the goal, but not all the little steps to get there.
So less micromanaging, more like you're the conductor leading the orchestra of animations.
That's a good way to put it.
And speaking of smooth, the excerpt keeps talking about performant, especially that 120 pps thing. What's so special about that number?
It's all about how we actually see. At 120 frames per second, animations look totally seamless. You can't even see the individual frames. It just feels like real time.
Oh, okay.
And that's the native feel. Everyone wants that instant responsiveness that just makes an app so much better to use.
Okay, so we know Reanimated unlocks the smooth animation superpower, and it does it all with code that's actually elegant. But I'm all about proof. The excerpt has a bunch of code examples. Is there one that really shows the Reanimated difference, a before and after kind of thing?
Oh, for sure. Let's look at the simplest animation. How about that? Maybe a box that fades in with like a bouncy spring effect.
I can picture it.
This is where use shared value and with spring come in. What's crazy is how little code it actually takes compared to the old ways of doing it. We're talking like just a few lines to create this smooth, physics-based animation.
See, this is what I love. Powerful stuff, but still easy to grasp. It's like they took something really complex and made it, elegant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that elegance is what lets developers actually be creative with the animations instead of getting bogged down in all this crazy implementation.
This is blowing my mind already, and we're just getting started. I see stuff here about gestures, layout animations, even syncing with device sensors.
It's wild, right?
Yeah. It's not just basic animation.
Nope. Reanimated can handle super complex scenarios. Think about making a game where you tilt your phone to move things, or a shopping app with those transitions between views. It can do it all.
It's like Reanimated is saying, you dream it, we'll animate it. Okay, this is officially next level, but we need to take a quick pause. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we're back, diving deeper into the world of React Native Reanimated. Before the break, we were talking about how this library not only makes smooth animations possible, but actually, enjoyable to create.
Right. It's true. And that's really where these extra features come in. For example, those shared element transitions. You ever notice, when you're in a photo gallery and you tap an image, it expands smoothly to full screen?
Oh, yeah, or in a shopping app, when you tap a product and it transitions to the details.
Exactly. Those transitions are everywhere now. They just make things feel so much more, fluid. But they seem really hard to code.
Right, crazy, complicated to get right.
And that's what's so cool. Reanimated makes it surprisingly doable. With shared element transitions, you're essentially saying, okay, Reanimated, take this element, move it over here to this other state, and handle all the animation logic between.
Wow, so you're basically giving it the instructions, but it's doing all the heavy lifting behind the scenes.
Exactly. It's like magic. No wonder everyone's so excited about this library. And speaking of excited, this excerpt has some pretty impressive testimonials.
Yeah, people seem to love this thing.
And it's not just talk. You see everyone from indie devs to big companies like Shopify raving about Reanimated. To me, that means it's not just some niche tool.
Right. It actually works for real projects, big and small.
Yeah, exactly. Which says a lot about the team behind it too, right? The excerpt mentioned Software Mansion, the ones who created Reanimated. They seem like a big deal in the React Native world.
Yeah, for sure.
What impresses me about them is that they're not just like making tools. They're really involved in the whole React Native scene, contributing to open source, pushing the limits of what's possible.
Yeah.
It's cool to see.
It's like they've got their finger on the pulse of the whole thing, you know? We've talked a lot about the how of Reanimated, but I think it's worth thinking about the why, too, you know?
Definitely. Why do we even care about smooth animations?
Right. Because they're more than just pretty visuals.
Exactly. They actually change how people experience your app.
Right. Because a smooth animation can make something complicated feel, I don't know, almost effortless.
For sure.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's like the difference between a door that you have to like really shove to open.
Ugh, the worst.
Versus one that just glides open smoothly. You instantly know which one is higher quality, right?
Totally. And in an app, that feeling of quality makes a huge difference.
Huge. People expect apps to be, well, delightful to use, not just functional.
So it's not about being flashy with the animations, it's about those little moments that just make the whole experience better.
Exactly. That polish, the attention to detail, that's what makes an app stand out.
This has been awesome. We've covered a lot, the technical stuff, the practical applications.
Yeah.
Even like the psychology of it all.
And we've only scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Reanimated is so versatile, there's always something new to discover.
It's true. It feels like they handed us this incredible animation studio and we're just figuring out all the buttons and knobs.
That's a great analogy.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave everyone with a little thought. As you're, playing around with Reanimated.
Yeah.
Take a look at the apps you use every day. The ones you always come back to.
Interesting.
And look for those moments where things feel, I don't know, off. Maybe it's clunky or just not as smooth as it could be. And ask yourself, how could Reanimated make this better?
I love that.
Because sometimes those little annoyances, those are the biggest opportunities to do something really innovative.
Absolutely.
You might even discover a new way to use Reanimated that nobody's thought of yet. This has been The Deep Dive, our deep dive into the world of React Native Reanimated. Until next time, happy coding, everyone.